Okay, let's talk about the parts of a web page that are appropriate. So here we're looking at Google. There's no ads here. They're not trying to sell you anything, it's just a site to use. Well, let's try and see what happens when we go on another site. So let's search solar system again. Let's go to this NASA site. When you go to this site, you're going to see a few different things, both at the top, at the bottom, and at the sides. I want you to pay attention to the things that you should look at. Now you can tell this is a government site because down here it has all this different information. Now if a site ends with usa.gov right here, that means it's a government site. You're not going to see any ads on a government site. When you're looking at a site, usually there's a search place, like right here. So you can search for things. Like if I only wanted to look at information about the sun. Usually somewhere on the page there's what's called the social media tab. So you can follow them on any of these social media. A very important thing to look for is sources, like here. That's how you know it's a good site, because it cites the sources that it gets its information from. Now at the top of the page you have its URL address, which is right here. That's its address on the internet. Whenever you take information from a site, make sure you also copy the web address and cite the information you get. You also have a back and forward button, a refresh button, and if you want to mark this site as somewhere you want to return to, you can star it here. Now let's take a look at another site that's not a government site. So if we go back to our Google search solar system, and let's say we pick something else, like solar system, astronomy for kids. When we go to this site, you're going to see something very different. If you go to the bottom, they have the date that the site was created and by who it was created. KidsKnowItNow.com. When a site ends in .com, that means it's a company which is trying to sell something. So if you look on the side here, you're going to see ads like this, selling things. But they'll also have similar things like a search box, as here, different links, but you can tell it looks really different from the government site. When you're looking at a website, it's important to see if the source is credible. How you do that is by looking at what the URL ends in. Does it end in HTML? Does it end in .com? Does it end in .net? Does it end in .gov? Sites that end in .gov are from the government, so they're more credible. But sites like this that end in HTML, you know, or that end in .com, they're companies that are trying to make money. So you have to be careful of things like ads, links that are inappropriate, like here. Try Myamyopia, our new free educational virtual world. They have a commercial right here for solar electricity panel. And if you didn't know, you click there. Well, that's not what we want. We want to go down here. Either way, make sure you cite where you get your information. But make sure when you're using a website that you're looking if it's credible or if it's just some crazy site. How do you check if a source is reliable, credible, or real? You can check several places. Scroll to the bottom and check to see if it's copyrighted. That's a huge signal. Check to see when it was last updated. So this was last updated in 2014, so that's a good thing. Who created this site? This was created by Children's Learning Website. You can see that right here. Check to see what the website ends in. This ends in HTML, so we know it's a company. just like we talked about earlier. If it ends in .gov, it's a government. If it ends in .edu, it's a school. And .net is it's a good free website. Can you put this in your bibliography? So if this was a Wikipedia page, we don't put it in our bibliography. But if it has those other things, copyright, and it's a good source, you can put it in your bibliography. What does the layout and design look like? This looks really commercially, like there's ads and really colorful and bright, which is nice, but might not be a credible source of information. You have to look at what it looks like. Then is the person writing only telling one side of the story or leaving things out? And does it have a bibliography? This one does not have a bibliography. And you know they didn't think of all this information. So you want to make sure when you use a site that it has a bibliography. Otherwise, it's stealing information from other places. But if you have those other things for the most part, a copyright, a date, if it looks credible, get ready to cite it.